Don't you just love that Monday fresh feeling, of new episodes of Inside the Rapper Studio and new interviews and getting to know new people and things like that. The magic begins, guys. Uh, man, I've been geeking lately. Episode 86 of Inside the Rapper Studio. This week is All Star Week. That's right. We're bringing back old stars of Inside the Rapper Studio that have interviews prior to pretty much the IG Live integration. So I just want to make sure everybody gets their IG Live interview. So yeah. This week is All-Star Week. Today we got Kotic Couture. We're going to be talking about their latest single, Pink Do-Rag, with Elon, which is coming out in a couple weeks. Star of the show is already here. Just giving a few updates to everybody. Score Swayze Saturdays. This past Saturday was the world premiere of Shelf. Hopefully everybody liked that video. We're going to be doing director's commentary on it later on tonight at 10 o'clock. This Saturday is going to be a special with Inside the Rapper Studio in the Working Title podcast. Hopefully you guys can check that out as well. Yeah, so we're going to get this little baby started. Let's see. Hopefully everybody had a good weekend. Hopefully everybody's having a good Monday. All that jazz. You know what I say in these shows. Can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you now, yes.
All right, let's get it started. Episode 86 of Inside the Rapper Studio.
Damn, let's go. Episode.
I'm host Score Swayze, and today we have a very special guest in the building. The return of the wonderful, wonderful, hardworking person. Have a podcast site, but for real, amazing DJ, amazing producer, amazing artist, rapper. It's honestly a little flattering for them to be on the show because like one of those. Damn, they do such work, and I'm just like kind of creeping up to the top and just looking at everybody else. So, Of course, we got to introduce the wonderful guest of episode 86, none other than the wonderful Kotic Couture.
Thank you for having me.
Don't sweat it. Don't sweat it. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm good. It's a little gloomy outside, but I like this kind of weather, so I'm good.
That's good. That's good. So with every episode of Inside the Rapper Studio, of course, we have to pretty much do the introduction or the origin story of the artist at the bottom of the screen. So Tell us how everything got started for the artist we all know and love as Kotic Couture.
I started rapping on the Eastern Shore, and I'm sure you can imagine there's not a very big scene there at all. So I started coming to the Paradox. So I really started in Baltimore at Super Third Saturday at the Paradox. And then the docks closed. So I was like, damn, where to go next? So I hit up one of my really good friends, one of my best friends, DDM. Okay, look, the docks closed. I don't know what's next. He was like, you know what? You have to get into Station North. So between him, TT the artist, I just started hopping on shows. I started hosting for DJs. Trill Natured and I just like built an organic like relationship. Did more with DDM, my best friend Rovo Monty. Like, we were all just like around doing shows all the time. And I guess I was just out enough for people to be like, hey, I like this person.
All right. I believe from the last conversation we had within the last interview, we talked a lot about like essentially getting started in that early scene, whereas though there's like a lot of dancing, there's a lot of like Station North and pretty much just club music. So I want your take on how club music has evolved over the years.
Well, to me, Baltimore is forever the originator of club music. Like, it don't matter where it goes, it don't ends up running it in the end. Baltimore is the originator of club music. I feel like right now Jersey kind of has a hold on it, because a lot more Jersey producers are making club music. So you hear that influence a lot. But I'm also like happy to see TT, Mighty Mark, and a lot more people in Baltimore in general starting to want to make club music again. I feel like for a while everybody wanted to sound like Atlanta, so a lot of the producers started like trap beats and everything, but I think people are slowly starting to come back around to club music. And it's getting back to like the origin, like the Black Star, K Swift records. So I'm excited to see what's going to grow.
Gotcha. Does it really give you like a bad taste in your mouth to say that Jersey has that, like, I guess, crown, so to speak?
No, because it's like Baltimore started it. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, Baltimore really introduced club music, opened up that dance world, and it just so happened that Jersey kind of like took that lock on it, and it's still different. Like I love Jersey club music, but it's still very different from Baltimore club music. And I like Philly party music too. So it's cool. I have friends in every scene, so like I'm happy to see everybody win. But Baltimore is forever always the originator, and the classics still go off like 20 years later.
That's good because, like, I I'm a very, I want to say, spiteful person, but when it comes to like who starts it and who winds up finishing with it, I always
Hmm.
do like the originator, like just give them the side, just give them the type of like I guess support. Um,
Hmm.
I feel as though like with the start of club music being here and everybody came here for dance music, even the most legendary, one of the most legendary house songs, Gypsy Woman by Crystal,
Crystal.
that was even started from producers from Baltimore. So
Hmm.
always had that type of influence, but it seems as though we don't get that recognition.
I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that Baltimore has a I mean, we're growing more, but we have a lack of business infrastructure. Where Jersey, like New York, is right there. Philly puts on for the city a lot. Like Philly DJs support Philly artists. They put them on the radio. They play their records. They bring them to the station. They help push them. But Philly is also in that tri-state area. So I think a lot of it is the fact that Baltimore doesn't have a very big business infrastructure. So people end up going to other places and becoming transplants. And then it's kind of just like, oh, this person is from California. But if you talk to that person, they're like, no, I'm from like Baltimore. I'm from PG. So I think that kind of gets like lost in translation.
Got you. I feel like that's been the best way to explain everybody's like moving and migrations to different cities when it comes to like trying to pop outside of the city. Nobody really explains the fact that there's like little to no business structure when it comes to the artistry of like pretty much making music in Baltimore. Do you feel as though that kind of thing can change within the culture of the city?
I think a lot of it is changing. I think even starting to see like more artists get featured on like Bandcamp Daily or just like getting more views, like more there was a time where there was only like two or three people who were really like who had like a lock on things to where now it's like everybody is shooting videos, everybody is putting out projects, everybody is working with each other, everybody helping with they mixing, they mastering, they cover art. Like we're building a strong family and like support sense of that and really sharing those resources. Everybody wins because when it's only one or two people, it's like, oh, we don't have to pay attention. But when you see like DDM and you see TT and you see Black Star and then you see JPEG, like you see Abdu, like there's so many different genres and so many different things coming out of the city. Now I think people are starting to pay attention more.
Absolutely. If it's one thing I can really say over the years, like especially growing up in the city and really having like your ear towards 92Q a lot and just hearing what the local artists are playing at the time. Like back in the day, it was usually like your Nature's Problem, it was your Boss Man, it was your DJ Rod Lee, and it was like Tim Trees. Now there's much more of like this blossoming of a flower within the city of like every different kind of flower, such as your JPEGs, you have your Butches, you have
Hmm.
views. I gotta give you your props, obviously. You have like your Miss Cams and things like that. Everybody kind of has that like different style. Do you feel as though that's a credit to the people that put the work in, or is it a credit to the support system that we all have?
I think it's both. This is gonna sound shady, but being like seeing how other cities support their artists, 92Q don't support Baltimore artists that they don't have relationships with. Like they don't play records that's popping unless that person has a relationship with the station, and they just don't support the station, or the station don't really support the city. So it, I think, in turn is the city supporting the city, and the blessing and the curse that we have is like we're really big, but we're really underground. So it's like if you know somebody who knows somebody, like you will know what's popping, but you have to get in that network to know like where to find things. But once you find that one person, they will put you on to everybody who is like doing amazing music. So I think it really is a testament to everybody's work ethic, but also everybody not having an ego and sharing the wealth.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. I kind of want to go back to the comment about like 92Q not to do the whole like negative thing, because I feel as though like with media in Baltimore, it's almost like we're 5 years behind on things
Mm-hmm.
and not really catching up to speed. Like I don't even think like local radio stations have like playlists on Spotify, which is how everybody's like kind of listening to their new music now. Do you feel as though that's also a credit to like us not really reaching that next plateau of greatness?
I think from the outside looking in, the station is ran by people who reached a certain peak, and I don't want to necessarily say got comfortable, but they don't challenge the way that things work. When like, so I have family in Delaware. I spent a lot of time in Delaware. In Delaware, I get Power 99, the Philly station. When I was coming back and forth to Delaware, every song that was in a TikTok video was in rotation on the, it was getting played in rotation. It's getting played in the mixes. Like they're just really up on what's happening, and their ears to the street. I don't think we have that in the city. Like I don't think there is a desire to know what's going on. It's kind of just like everybody just sitting and chilling and being like, "Oh yeah, it is what it is." And then when something pops off, they grab onto it. But by that point, it's already too late.
Mm. Timing comes to mind about this. How do you feel about timing when it comes to artistry, not just within media, working artistry, but when it comes to an artist figuring out that certain time to do a certain project or do a certain content relation or anything like that?
I think you have to listen to your gut. Like I'm just now, I mean, I've been in the city for 5 years at this point, and I've put out EPs and freestyles, but I'm just not like Diary of a Dreamer was an EP. People categorize it as an album, but Diary of a Dreamer is an EP. So I'm just now 5 years in, just putting out my first album. I've had content coming, but like I'm now working on my album, and that's because I wanted to know more of the business side. I wanted to understand how to work things, how to push things, and make the mistakes on a smaller scale to learn, so that when it was time for me to really do the next thing, I had more of that knowledge. So I think as long as you're putting things out and you're watching what other people are doing and taking note of it, it's gonna, like, I think it has a positive effect. Like I think Miss Cam, when she did the rollout for B-Day Pack, like that's one of the best rollouts I've seen from people in the city, especially of like, I feel like I look at the city as like a class. So like Cam, people are just now starting to pay attention to. Cam is like, Cam been rapping. From the first time I saw her, I was like intrigued. But people are now starting to pay attention. So from like her class, she had that marketing shit on lock. Like she did a rollout. She had people paying attention. And I thought it was very smart. So it's very important for me to like look at people all around me, like of all levels. The Abdul Ali's, the Butch Dawsons, the JPEGs, how are they marketing? And then people we still running in the venues every weekend, like how are we marketing? How are we all growing? And I think it's important to stay inspired and give somebody their props when they doing something. Like I think that was an amazing rollout. So then thinking about Cam, when I came into to releasing Pink Durag, I was like, all right, how am I going to do this rollout? Like I thought about that because I'm like, she inspired me to put that work in.
You said the P word that really like stuck out to me, and it's a P word that's very important, not just for artists, but for supporters in general. The P word is props.
Mm.
How often are props being given out, and how much is it necessary?
I think it depends. So me, I think that it depends on the person.
Mm.
I've seen the older class, like the battle rap class, come up, and it's like they had to be hard. So it wasn't like we showing love, we give love. Like they had to fight to get into these spots. But because they open those doors, like it's easier for us to come in and like show each other love. Like I'm not a hateful person at all. Like I believe in if somebody do something good, like letting them know, like, oh, that's amazing. Like give them their flowers and then be like, okay, I'm inspired by that. Like I learned from that. So I think it's important to tell people like when they've done something great and when it inspired you. I think a lot of people's egos get in the way sometimes, so they don't want to let nobody know that like, oh yeah, that was really dope. But it's like I don't see no issue in that. Like giving somebody love don't take away from my talent.
You can actually repeat that for one more time, just for people they can really like cling on to that idea, please.
Giving somebody love does not take away from your talent.
Absolutely, absolutely. We need sound bites like that because that's very necessary for the work that we put in. Because as musicians and especially as rappers, not just musicians, especially as rappers, it's way too much ego. Like even to the
Yeah.
point where that's why I even asked the question of like props because it seems as though props just seems to be this gold mine that everybody wants to hoard and just hoard people of their flowers and things like that. Do you feel as though not enough props are given out in the city, no matter to who?
Um, I mean, I feel like as a city, we a little rough around the edges. So, sometimes it's just not in people nature. But like, I naturally just love to show love. Like, so I believe in that. It says more about somebody. Let me say this. There was a time in this city coming up in this scene where there was people's goal to gatekeep and to get it for themselves and keep everybody else out. And then I think people saw you can only do so much by yourself and you don't always have to say things explicitly for people to read your energy and understand your motives. So I think people got humbled really quick and they were like, okay, I don't have to be like this. Like once they started seeing people show each other love, and it was like, oh, like people still respect them, they're still getting shit. Like I don't have an ego. Like I'm pushing as an artist, and I still DJ for DDM. I still DJ for Rovo Monty at some points. Like I'm with them on photo shoots. I'm doing makeup for photo shoots. I'm doing makeup for video shoots. Like I just don't have an ego. I just believe in supporting people, and I think that's not a mindset that a lot of people have. But also, I didn't grow up in the city, so I don't have that same mentality, and I understand it because this is very much a city. Like a lot of people have to watch their back. They have to keep themselves protected. And, some people just haven't unlearned that mentality yet, or they don't know when to turn it off and when to turn it on. So I don't think it's necessarily like malicious or anybody's at fault. It's just really being introspective and realizing like when to turn certain things off or when it's necessary.
Gotcha, gotcha. First of all, thank you very much for even giving me some solid answers there. I feel like people kind of tiptoe around like questions like that just to not like offend people, but whereas though if you're coming from like an honest standpoint, it really won't be offensive at all. So I have to thank you for that and thank you for a great so far. Huge shouts out to everybody that's in the live right now. I'm giving a few shouts out to Title D King, shouts out Beth Banger, shouts out El Cook, shouts out Rusty, shouts out Graffy, shouts out Honey Charcoal, shouts out who else we got in here? Robo Monty, Dainty Don. I keep forgetting that you bring a huge crowd to the live. I got like a graduation like rollout to just
Yo, stop.
give everybody that. Shouts out to Nandagi, Station 10, Meet You Correct, Kia Man, everybody. So Kotic Couture, the next thing I wanted to talk to you about is you being a tyrant on TikTok. How often do you use it, and how helpful is it?
Um, TikTok has been very helpful. I mean, so I'm gonna tell you the truth about TikTok. TikTok was a complete accident.
Hmm.
I made a video of the Catch Me Outside girl uh, because she had like a really dark foundation on, and she had like over exaggerated like features, and she had like this wig on. She was given I'm black, but we all know that she's not black. So I like made this video about it, and I don't know what the fuck happened. Just TikTok. Like I went to sleep and I woke up and like 152,000 views, and I just woke up to like 9,000 followers. So I was like, yo, I'm not about to be known for bashing this white girl. Like, so the next time I made a video, I was like, all right, let me just cook something real quick and just put this up. So if people find this profile, it's not just me bashing this white girl. And then the cooking videos really just took off. So I make them every now and then. It really just depends when I feel like it. Sometimes I like to just cook peacefully and let that be like my solitude. And then sometimes I'm like, all right, I can make this and film a video. But I mean, I've racked up like 22,000 followers on there, which has gotten me some Instagram followers. So it's doing good right
20, 20,
now. All off.
22.
Yeah, you know what? It's crazy because I remember wanting to be popular on the internet, like back in MySpace days and like Tumblr and all that. And then when I finally got to the point, I'm like, I don't give a fuck if I'm popular on the internet. Then that's when the shit happens, and I'm like, okay. Now I keep up with everything.
That's what's up. I feel as though like with TikTok and platforms like that, whereas though a lot of people use it for like information and like do like their little infomercial thing, and also people do it for like just straight up like shits and giggles.
Hmm.
But not a lot of people use it to build content on top of their brand, and you've done it very well. Like
Thank you.
22,000, we know you as an actual culinary genius for like things. It's a lot of things that come out of that. So, how would you describe using the internet in your best shape or form possible for your brand?
Um, when you are independent, the internet is all you got. Um,
One more time.
the internet is all you have. So it's like when I was in high school, I didn't necessarily think I was popular, but I was the kid who talked to somebody in every friend group. Like my high school had a radio station. I used to manage basketball. I like was in the theater. Like I did drama club. So I was everywhere all the time. So I feel like I always had different experiences of people. I feel like that's my internet persona. Like I feel like my sense of humor reads to like a lot of people. So I'm just like on the internet, really just being myself. Because at the end of the day, I'm just like awkward and goofy. And I think my rapping is more of like braggadocious and like real cocky. But like really, I just think everything is funny, and I laugh at my own jokes all day. So I think that people get to see more of that, and they get to see like the actual personal side. Because we really at a point right now with social media where everybody just want to feel like they know you. Like everybody wants to be your friend. So that's what TikTok is to me. People get to feel closer because they get to hear my little sense of humor or the little shit that I say, and it's like they feel like we have a friendship. So that's what the internet has done. It's very important to use it as a tool, but also it's like sometimes I don't feel like talking to nobody, so I talk to the internet. Like so, it's like a release in that way too.
There's a there's a word that starts with a B that's coming to mind when it comes to pretty much differentiating how you use the internet, and the B word is boundaries. And when it
Yeah.
comes to boundaries, not just within music, but just in personal life, boundaries are very important to not just like keep away the people that you don't want around, but keep the habits that you
Mhm.
want yourself. So, how do you feel as though boundaries has helped you within your career?
Um, I mean, it's taught me a lot. When I started doing music, I was very, I mean, as everybody is, like I was very green. I thought that everybody who talked to me was my friend. So I used to say a lot of shit that used to get me in trouble because I was like, oh, I don't know what to say and what not to say. Um, so like I learned those boundaries of like, okay, you know who your family is, who you can feel like the real tea with, and then you don't have to keep it like political and certain. And then it's just also knowing what to give to people. Like the thing I like about TikTok is I can go on there and I can give like my little humorous voiceover so people feel like they know me, but I don't have to post everything that I'm doing every day and people don't have to be that much into my life, but they can still feel connected. So it's really given me like great boundaries really because it's let people connect with me. It's like a barricade.
Got you. I feel as though when it comes to like the whole green side of like making music, where as though you just kind of start trusting everything and trusting everybody, it kind of gets a little paranoid because
Yeah.
then you start thinking like, oh, either everybody's with me or either everybody's against me. So how does keeping boundaries kind of keep that intact, whereas though you know who to trust and who not to trust?
For me personally, I've just learned to be 100% authentic. Like, if it is what it is, like, if I have an issue, I'm going to state the issue. So then it's like, even if I say something to somebody else, that person already knows the feeling on that. So if I'm reiterating a situation, it's not like some drama or like sparking anything really. So yeah, I really just, I say, I just say what's on my mind. And I say it in a way that is like, not attacking people and it's receptive, but also at the same time, like I mind my damn business. Like I have a very tight circle. I be with the same people, and it's okay. Like with learning boundaries, it's okay to show people love, and you can still have connections with people without everybody having to be your best friend. And
Mm,
it's comfortable for me.
yes, yes, yes. I have to really appreciate an answer like that because I feel like people get the whole like, I'm in here, I got to network with everybody, I got to rub shoulders with everybody, I got to pretty much be the friend to each and every person I see. And a lot of times that ends up being that derail or that nail on the train track that just pretty much puts you off track. And
Yeah,
I feel as though the best thing to do is just have discernment and like having discernment with like who you think you know, and who you don't want to know. So I'd have to probably agree with that. Spoken wise words from a true artist. Thank you so much for even joining me on this live again. You know I always do my like thank yous like every 10 fucking minutes. But yeah, I really appreciate you for joining me on this live again and just giving this show another shot. Because last time it was a fucking wreck. Connection
it
wise,
was not a wreck. It was fun.
connection wise.
Yeah, okay. Connection was a little crazy, but it was still fun.
Yeah, I had to do the whole upgrade and really learn how to like set this whole shit up just so everybody can actually have a good interview and have to bring everybody along for All Star Week. So thank you again for even joining All Star Week. Because honestly, I'd be mad nervous about asking people to join the show again. Whereas they're like, are you going to talk about the same shit
Same.
again? And I'm thinking to myself when I was doing production, I was like, I don't want to ask them about fucking Diary of a Dreamer. Like they're on to new and better things, and one of those new and better things is a single that you're coming out with Elon called Pink Rags. Talk to us about that.
Um, I don't, it's I'm excited. I'm really excited. Pink Durag was supposed to be a track. I was just gonna release it for Bandcamp Friday in July, and I recorded it with Bot Choi. So we recorded it, and when I came out of the booth, he was just like quiet for a second, and I was like, I don't know if this is good or like I don't know if this is bad, and he was like, this sounds amazing. He was like, can I like can I offer like a suggestion too? I was like, yeah, go ahead. So he was like, I think this would sound amazing with like some vocals on it. And I was like, okay, because I had in the back of my head, like I want to ask Elon to be on this track. And he was like, yeah, please, 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 please. So he kind of inspired me to take my time because I was going to not really rush it, but it was one of those songs that I think it was a moment in the room of after I recorded it, we both kind of like looked at each other and we were like, no, this is like something more than just like a throwaway song. So I sent the track to Elon. Elon was like, yes, I'll be on it. And I was like, okay. So we just going from there. I've been teaching myself Ableton during quarantine. Oh baby, like I produced the track. Of course I wrote the track. Like to have Elon on there, it's just the content of it. I'm excited. So I'm just really excited to drop it.
We were actually talking about in the last interview how you wanted to just jump into producing and things like that. And it actually is a welcoming feeling, whereas though you actually not just learned it, but your first production is on your own beat. How does that feel rapping on your own work?
Um, I always it really depends. Like this specific song, there's this song and there's another song that's going to be on my album where it was like when I when I made the beat, I went into making the beat knowing what I wanted the song to be. So it was kind of easier to make the beat because I knew the end result that I wanted. Versus sometimes when I get beats from other people, it's like, okay, what inspiration am I feeling? Like, where is this going to take me? Where with these songs, it's like, I know what I want to say. I know what I want to do. So like in my head, the song was already written. I just had to make the beat. So it was like, it was really fun. It was really fun to work on it. And like to see how it grew. I think I did two versions of it. And I listened to the first version. I was like, okay, this is cool, but I can add this, this, and this. And then when I added everything and I listened to it again, I was like, okay. So it was like, it's cool listening to it grow because you don't get that working with somebody else all the time. It's like a lot of time you just get like the end result of the beat. So it's like, oh, I can add this here. I can do this. I can make space here. So it's been a really fun experience. And I think it's made me a better writer, but it's also made me like more open to going into production with other people because now I feel like I can speak another language and ask for things.
Mm-hmm.
When I was younger, if there was like one thing I didn't like on a beat, I'd be like, forget it. But now I understand like how easy it can be to like change a couple things. So I'm just really excited. It's been a really like big learning experience, but it's a lot of growth.
How is it producing like super early? Because like you're only a couple months in, right?
Yeah.
Like
Um,
especially with using a DAW such as Ableton. A lot of people feel as though Ableton's super complicated to work with, and like not just complicated to work with is something you probably shouldn't start with. But you're already like swinging for the fences, pretty much on track one, and you're already there. We even heard clips of it that you've been dropping in your snippets, and quite frankly, I'm embarrassed to even like put out whatever I'm putting out because
don't don't be embarrassed. It's so I say my first time producing, but and we talked about 92Q earlier. Like I think we talked about this in the last interview. Like I was a production intern at 92Q, so I've worked with like production softwares and different like editing softwares before, and even like DJing, like how I loop a beat or like blend things. So really, what I just had to do was I had to sit back and I had to get out of my head. Like I watched a couple videos, I talked to TT, I watched some videos of Unique produce some stuff, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna like make this happen. So it was a really big learning curve, but I had to learn like what worked for me. Drawing in notes doesn't work for me. Using like I bought the drum machine, using the drum machine, I think I've only used it to lay down drums like twice. Like it's easier for me to just import the sound and copy, paste, cut it, like do it manually. So it was hard when I was watching other people's videos because they were trying to tell you how they did it. So I just had to sit and mess with it and be like, okay, but this is comfortable for me.
absolutely. I love. It's just one thing I really appreciate a producer saying is what works for me,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to like collabs and stuff like that, where a lot of people would have their work shared with another producer. They do their own thing to it. It doesn't even sound like what you even gave it to them, and it almost seems as though like it's a totally different work. So, how important is individualism to your production?
Um, I think so. I think again, talking about ego, like I recognize that I'm not a producer. Like I'm learning things, but I'm recognizing that I'm not a producer. I know my way around certain things. So I think I'm still very open because there's even like another track that hopefully is going to go on the album I had sent to Batchoy, and I was like, look, I left a lot of space. It's very like empty. Would you mind adding like some bass and like guitar to it, but do what you want to do? He's like, well, how do you hear it? I was like, just do what you want and like we'll make it work. So now I'm learning the art of collaboration is a beautiful thing because again, knowing what you want and knowing like I know my threshold. I know I can only do so much. So I'll take care of my end and then I'll take it to the person who I know can bring it home and who can finish it out. So that's again helped me drop my ego because I used to think that I have to, and I still have my moments where I have to do like everything myself. But I'm learning that it's like it's okay to like collaborate with people, and I actually like it a lot more because you learn a lot about people and relationships grow organically when you're working on music. So it's been a lot of fun to kind of like break down those walls and break down their ego and have those opportunities.
Speaking of working with producers, you work with, I don't want to say a lot of producers, but the producers that you work with have a lot of merit. They have a lot of, essentially, like a lot of work done in, and you just pretty much go with the flow and make it your own. Do you feel as though being now a new producer in the game and also being a producer rapper, a very, I guess, rare title for rappers to have, do you feel as though being that producer rapper now kind of like puts you in that same lane to like be just as good as any other producer, or is it just something that you want to work with on your own?
It's so here's the thing. Again, by trade, I recognize that I'm not a producer. So I know that I can do certain things, but I think what I stopped very early on was like comparing myself to people who are even like 4 or 5 years in because it's like I don't they do this like the way that I wake up and the way that I write or the way that I practice DJing, like they're doing this production like every day. So there's things that they bang out that I can't do. And I recognize that and it's not because I'm not talented, but it's just like I haven't had the same time to dedicate to it or that's like my first craft. So again it's just about dropping that ego. Like I recognize that there's going to be some things where I still have to go to other people because I know that I'm not at that level yet. But again, I'm learning to speak that language, to be able to communicate the things that I want.
Gotcha, gotcha. So I kind of want to switch gears here and switch topics to something that happened during quarantine that you and DDM worked with, which is Battle of the Barbs. I know tense. I know it was a lot, especially picking between those two artists. Could you tell the audience what Battle of the Barbs was?
Um, Battle of the Barbs was our own verses because at the time everybody verses was boring and it was shit that we didn't want to see. So we were like, you know what we want to see, but would never happen. Nicki Minaj versus Little Kim. So we were like, fuck it, let's do it. So we really just went all out and did like our own little verses and had so much fun doing it.
Who would you do a versus with?
Ooh, at this point, damn. Okay, so I say that's hard because I feel like my style changes every record. So what I think would be interesting, if we were pairing club music or like more dancey beat, I think a verses of myself and Abdul Ali would be a lot of fun.
Ooh.
Because we both have like some good club records and like dancier records. Um, I think if I'm going to do more of the I don't know, like when I think of like the Diary of the Dreamer type level, like not to sound cocky, but I can't think of anybody to compare myself to like that I would know to kind of like go against like in the same family.
That makes sense, but I'm not gonna lie. As soon as you said that, dude, I'm like, wow, that actually makes one a lot of sense. Two, we need to actually make this happen. Like this could actually happen if we sent this message out to it and like pretty much sell some wolf tickets, and they'll be on like board with it.
Yeah, I think that would be a lot of dope. I love like Abdul has been somebody who has been constantly moving the whole time that I've been in the scene. So it's like even when there's a comparison of like, oh, I like your music and oh, I like Abdul's, like it's really humbling to me to kind of be compared because Abdul has a lot of notoriety and has done a lot for the Station North scene. So I think to even be like in the same conversation with Abdul a lot of times when it comes to music and when it comes to art, like it's very like humbling. Like I appreciate it.
Gotcha. So, last thing I wanted to talk to you about is something that I was really excited for, and I even caught the first episode. Is Psych, but for real. I come up with this concept of a podcast.
So by trade, I went to school for broadcasting, for radio broadcasting. So I've always wanted to do radio, but I never wanted to do just regular. Like, you just heard da da da. Like I never wanted to do that. So I had a podcast with my best friend called Big What last year, and we did that. Like we did a season of that. And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna focus on the music. I'm gonna leave everything alone. And then when quarantine happened and I wasn't really creating music, I was like, you know what? It's a good time for me to like bring the podcast back. And I was like, okay, but what do I want to do? So originally, like, but for real was supposed to be like really humorous and really goofy and like really about things on trend. So like not celebrity gossip, but like celebrity commentary and like TikTok commentary or like what's going on in the world. But it was supposed to be really lighthearted. But around the time that I was thinking of the concept, it was right around the time that George Floyd's murder actually happened. And then Taylor's murder came to light. And I felt like when I was in school before I withdrew, I was a sociology major. So like human behavior is always to me, like studying things like that is always interesting. So I was like, you know what? I have strong opinion. I always got some shit to say. So why not just put it in a podcast? And I don't want to necessarily say I dropped the ball, but I did like put out the first episode and then I just like had so many projects going on that I haven't followed up yet. I also just think that at that point in time there was a lot of misconceptions about Black Lives Matter, about what was going on with Breonna Taylor in general, about how Black women are treated in the grand scheme of things. So I just felt like it was a great time to really use my voice and use the platform that I've been creating to just shed light on those things.
Gotcha. Do you feel as though you could pick this kind of thing back up and pretty much, I suppose, I won't say take things back to the way you thought the show was going to be, but do you feel as though you could kind of take it in a different direction instead of like where it should, where you think it was going to go?
I think at this point I don't want to go there anymore. I think I want to. A lot of times within, like I feel like artists have a responsibility, but times we don't always want to fulfill that responsibility. If that makes sense. So artists have a responsibility to tell what's going on or have commentary about what's going on. But it's like, you know what? Maybe I don't want to make music to express things in that way that's really like down or really heavy at this moment. So how can I still use the platform that I have to do that? So I really do want to continue to voice my concerns and shed light on queer issues and shed light on issues that like women have and that Black women face and just like different things that go on in the world. At the end of the day, we all have opinions. So like, why not just run my mouth one more way and have people listen to it?
Gotcha. Well, Kotic Couture, has been a very, very wonderful interview. I have to thank you once again for even joining me on this episode and having me ask all these very personal TMZ questions to you. So, do you have any last words, any last promotions, any last propaganda for the people?
Just stay locked into my Instagram on Wednesday, not this Wednesday, this Wednesday actually. Also in quarantine, I somehow ended up finding the time to host a web series. So the first episode of Rebels Den is dropping this Wednesday. So that'll be out. Next Wednesday, there will be another announcement talking about Pink Durag. Plus, you will get the first audio snippet hearing the song next week. And then the final day is.
Gotcha. Well, coming up next on Inside the Rapper Studio tomorrow, we got Diesel Mac in the building. We're going to be talking about his latest project, something you got to deal with. Also talking about the art of sampling. Later on tonight on live, we're going to do director's commentary for the video Shelf that was released Saturday. Of course, I'd have to thank each and everybody that was in this live for 1 second, 1 minute, or the entire show. Huge shouts out to IG for not fucking up this time.
They did good.
I was expecting it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, I'm gonna do some real petty shit this time around, but you didn't.
Nah, they was good.
So, from your host, Score Swayze, and our wonderful guest of episode 86 of Inside the Rapper Studio, Kotic Couture, I'd like to tell all you guys, thank you very much. And as always, wash your hands, wear a mask, and stay in the house.
And wash your ass.
And wash. I feel like everybody adds that last part too.
Like, wash your ass.
It's very important, but still,
it is.
All that. Chaotic.
Thank you.